All right, today we're jumping into something really big. We are piecing together the evidence for what might be the holy grail of propulsion, a secret program to build a compact fusion drive.
Okay, let's start right here. It all begins with a little line of text, buried deep inside a U.S. patent from, you guessed it, Lockheed Martin's legendary Skunk Works. Now, this isn't just some boring technical jargon. No, this is a mission statement. It's a hint at a technology that could literally change everything we think we know about transportation, energy, and defense.
So, what are we really talking about here? Well, the source material points to something that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. A highly classified program at Skunk Works Corporation with one single, incredibly audacious goal: to build a working compact fusion reactor.
And let's be clear, this isn't science fiction. The objective is totally practical. Create a mobile power source for military platforms. But here's the crucial part. The intelligence shows this isn't some wild guess. The whole program is grounded in decades of real, established, if a little obscure, plasma physics research.
This, of course, brings up a massive question, right? How on earth do you keep a project this big under wraps, while at the same time you're tapping into the best scientific minds on the planet? Well, the answer reveals a system that is just brilliantly designed for innovation and for misdirection.
So let's break down the architecture of how they keep this secret. The intelligence reports show us that it isn't just hidden away somewhere. Oh no, it's protected by a really sophisticated, multi-layered structure. Here's how it all works. To really get this, we have to understand one key term. The intelligence community calls this entire setup the clandestine ecosystem. Think of it as a web of public, private, and super-secret programs, all working together to speed up development while keeping everybody else looking in the wrong direction. And it all runs on 3 separate tracks. And this slide right here, this is the roadmap for the whole operation. You've got Track 1, the Black program. That's the real deal, the secret hardware project. Then you have Track 2, the Gray World. That's all the unclassified research in the supply chain, basically hiding in plain sight. And finally, Track 3, the White World. And that's the big, public show meant to distract everyone. Let's dig into each one.
So the Black track, this is the prize. This is the entire point of the whole ecosystem. It's the actual hardware-focused project. The Skunk Works Compact Fusion Reactor, or CFR for short. And intelligence has even identified the program leads, Thomas McGuire, and a physicist named Gabriel Font, who apparently brought a ton of critical knowledge with him from Los Alamos.
Okay, but any secret program, especially when this complex, needs a constant flow of new ideas and top-tier talent. So let's jump over to the Gray track and see how this ecosystem so cleverly gets its brainpower without blowing its cover.
This is where it gets really smart. The Gray track is made up of these small, nimble companies. They're all doing legitimate, often government-funded research that isn't classified at all. But, and this is by design, the problems they're solving just happen to be the exact problems the secret program needs figured out. It's the perfect way to access top scientists without a single traceable official link.
And this table just lays it all out perfectly. You've got companies like MSW, which was working on concepts for a fusion-driven rocket. And then there's Woodruff Scientific, doing critical R&D on things called Spheromax. You can think of those as these incredibly stable, self-contained little rings of plasma. Each company is solving one piece of the bigger puzzle, right out in the open for everyone to see.
But you might be asking, is there actual proof that they're all connected? Oh yeah, this is the smoking gun. Check this out. In 2011, Woodruff Scientific, our Gray company, files a patent application. Then, years later, in 2019, that exact same patent gets cited in a new patent filed by the leaders of the Black Skunk Works program. That's not a coincidence. That is a direct, non-public transfer of intellectual property. It is irrefutable proof that the Gray track is feeding the Black track. Now, for what might be the most fascinating part of this whole ecosystem, we've seen the secret program and we've seen its hidden supply chain, so now let's look at how it's all protected. And folks, this is a masterclass in counterintelligence.
Welcome to the White track. Intelligence agencies assess this as a highly visible, very public program that is designed for one purpose: strategic deception. Its job is to create a ton of noise, to misdirect foreign intelligence agencies, and to basically send America's adversaries chasing ghosts down a scientific dead end.
And just look at the contrast here. It's night and day. And that's the whole point.
The Black Skunk Works program is based on established plasma physics, specifically something called a field-reversed configuration, which is a really clever way to use a plasma's own magnetic field to help contain itself. The White Navair program, on the other hand, it's based on super-theoretical, way-out-there physics like quantum vacuum manipulation. It is the perfect false trail.
So get this, the entire goal was just to make this strange white technology public. When the US Patent Office first rejected these exotic patents, saying they weren't feasible, Navair's chief technology officer, a Dr. James Sheehy, personally stepped in. He actually submitted a formal declaration, citing Chinese advancements as a national security reason for why the patents had to be approved. The goal wasn't to protect a real technology, but to publicly plant a fake one for everyone to see.
But a breakthrough this massive doesn't just appear out of thin air. To really understand the Black program, we have to trace its scientific DNA all the way back to the source.
And the sources are really clear on this one. The Skunk Works reactor is built on a foundation of what's called orphaned research. And what that means is this was science paid for by US taxpayers, pioneered at Los Alamos National Lab, that was eventually defunded and basically abandoned by the mainstream, only to be secretly picked up by the clandestine world.
And this timeline shows that direct lineage. The story starts back in the 70s with experiments at Los Alamos. By 82, one of their devices shows something they called anomalous stability, which is a fancy way of saying it worked way better than the theory said it should. Then, in 88, all that research gets put into a major review that becomes the scientific foundation for everything that follows. But then, in the 90s, funding dries up, and the research is orphaned. And finally, around 2004, Skunk Works finds this abandoned research and quietly launches its secret program.
And those early experiments, they weren't just academic. They systematically solved huge physics problems. The team at Los Alamos discovered that anomalous stability. They figured out how to stop the primary rotational wobble that messed up early designs. They established a scaling law that looked really good. And this is a big one. They proved for the first time ever that you could actually move one of these plasma structures. Basically, the concept was mature enough for Skunk Works to weaponize.
But here's the thing, this isn't just a US story. The intelligence makes it really clear that this whole clandestine ecosystem is a response to a global strategic race that is already well underway.
The US ecosystem we've been walking through didn't just appear in a vacuum. It is a direct reaction to some really intense state-directed competition from our global rivals. And we're talking primarily about China and Russia.
And each of these powers has its own version of this kind of ecosystem. China has mobilized what it calls a whole-of-nation push, and they explicitly see this as a dual-use technology for next-generation weapons. Russia's famous Kurchatov Institute is working on what they're calling a magnetic plasma accelerator. And even Israel's Technion is building up deep expertise in the high-energy density physics that you would need for this.